If you walk through central Karnataka today, you'll find a landscape stretching for kilometers, covered in nothing but silent, scattered rocks and the heavy stone skeletons of ruined buildings. But 500 years ago, this was the capital of the Vijayanagara Empire. By the year 1500, Hampi was the second largest medieval city on Earth, trailing only Beijing. Traders from Persia and Portugal documented it as the richest city of its time, packed with active markets and hundreds of thousands of residents. The question is, how medieval engineers managed to carve a metropolis of this scale straight out of solid rock, and what specific historical event erased it so completely from the map? These ruins serve as an architectural fossil record. By examining the remaining stone structures, we can reconstruct the engineering and culture of a highly advanced society. We can see this extreme environment clearly by looking at the Tungabhadra River Valley. The river winds through a terrain entirely dominated by massive ancient granite boulders. Instead of clearing these million-ton rocks to make way for traditional construction, the architects of Vijayanagara integrated the hostile geology. They used the natural granite boulders directly as the load-bearing foundations for their structures. This required an immense labor force, capable of cutting, moving, and dressing millions of tons of local granite to build the temples, palaces, and markets of their capital. The entire visual identity of Hampi was dictated by its rocky geography. The engineers adapted to an extreme environment by turning the obstacle itself into their primary building material. The peak of this stone engineering is found along the river in the city's sacred center, home to massive religious complexes like the Virupaksha and Vittala temples. Here we observe a classic example of Dravidian architecture. The builders stacked interlocking, precisely cut granite blocks without mortar to form these towering pyramidal gateways, known as gopurams, which marked the temple entrances. Inside the temple complexes, they moved beyond structural engineering into high art. They carved outsized monolithic pillars featuring the yali, a mythical creature combining the features of a horse, a lion, and an armed rider. In the Vittala temple, they achieved a major acoustic breakthrough. The architects carved composite stone pillars that function like musical instruments, vibrating and resonating with specific musical notes when struck. The ability to mobilize the labor required for these musical stones and massive gateways served a dual purpose. These structures functioned as religious centers and as permanent physical markers of the empire's economic and engineering reach. Moving away from the river, we enter the royal center, an area strictly dedicated to civic administration and daily royal life. Here, the Hindu rulers adopted a style known as Indo-Saracenic architecture. They actively borrowed building techniques from the Muslim Deccan sultanates, the very states they were frequently at war with. Take a look at the Lotus Mahal. It sits on a Hindu temple-style basement with a roof of symmetrical, stepped pyramidal towers. But looking down, the engineering changes. The pavilion relies on Islamic-style lobed arches and vaulted passageways to support the upper floors. Nearby, the royal elephant stables were constructed almost entirely using this imported style, featuring alternating fluted and plain Islamic domes, capping arched chambers. Finding these distinct architectural styles seamlessly integrated on the same civic buildings shows that Vijayanagara operated as a highly connected, multi-ethnic, and multi-religious society. Supporting a massive, dense population in a dry, boulder-strewn landscape presented a severe logistical problem: access to water. This is Buka's aqueduct, built to carry river water over uneven terrain on thick, rectangular granite pillars. To maintain stability, builders used larger blocks near the ground, gradually reducing the size as they built up toward the water channel. This aqueduct fed royal kitchens, irrigated agricultural fields, and filled public baths, like this dark stone water tank, designed with highly precise, symmetrical, descending steps. The towering temple gateways displayed the empire's wealth. Meanwhile, this hidden network of stone aqueducts and tanks operated as the actual mechanical engine, keeping hundreds of thousands of citizens alive in a semi-arid zone. By the mid-16th century, the extreme accumulation of wealth in Hampi prompted the rival Deccan sultanates to form a military coalition. culminating in the Battle of Talikota in 1565. The great Vijayanagara army was decisively defeated. Muslim armies then occupied the capital, systematically pillaging the markets and setting the city on fire. The destruction burned for months. Today, archaeologists excavating the site routinely uncover thick layers of charcoal and heat-cracked stone basements, providing direct physical evidence of a massive city-wide inferno. The wood and brick superstructures were entirely incinerated. Only the massive granite foundations, the very rocks the architects originally adapted to, could withstand the extreme heat of the fire. For the next 250 years, the ruined capital was completely abandoned, slowly overgrown by jungle vegetation and populated only by local wildlife. It wasn't until the year 1800 that Scottish surveyor Colin Mackenzie documented the site. His initial surveys of these vast, empty colonnades finally revealed the sheer scale of the forgotten empire to the outside world. What survives at Hampi provides a specific record of how this society functioned. The standing structures show the practical integration of water management and acoustic science into the city's architecture, alongside a unique blending of regional aesthetic traditions. The political state of Vijayanagara was reduced to ash in a matter of months, but the massive granite blocks they cut and stacked still stand, holding the exact shape of a megacity.